Who's ready to get a little bit better? If so, comment yes. You guys are awesome. It's really a privilege, like to do these videos, and I'm grateful for all of you that watch and tune into these on a regular basis and make comments and tell me how they're impacting you. I'm really grateful for that, and I don't know, off the script, but I just wanted to say that and take a moment to tell you that. Um, you know, it's a hard season in our world. It's been a difficult couple years. I don't know when you'll be watching this, but I'm recording it in the season when we're on the tail end of two pretty crazy years. We just crossed over 2 years since a global pandemic, and still dealing with some mask mandates and some different like it's been a hard couple years economically. There's been a lot of isolation. There's been a lot of pain, a lot of loss, people dying, people sick, loss of relationship. It's been a hard time. Um, Suicide rates are astronomically increased since the pandemic. I think I read one stat, um, and they were talking about some of a certain demographics, suicide rates are up 400%. It's a tough time to say how do I stay healthy? How do I stay mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthy? And I think it's a question that a lot of us are asking of how do I protect my own mental health? How do I make sure I don't go crazy? How do I make sure I'm okay, not just like what people see on the outside, but how do I make sure I'm okay on the inside? And I want to give an answer to that question. Now, there's a whole lot of answers to that question, but I want to give just one that honestly, it's how I have protected my mental health. It has been the one habit of my life that has by far brought the most value, that has protected my mental health, that has created strength, that has created more resilience, that has helped me know myself. And that one thing that has helped me protect my mental health, which I'm giving to you as a gift today, is journaling. That's not the first time I've talked about journaling, but I feel like people are grasping for ways to make sure they're okay. And self-care is great. You should totally do that. Go get a manicure, pedicure, spa treatment, get a massage. I don't care. Like go for a walk in the woods. All these things are good. But there's so much going on in our world that we need a way to process it. I think I've used this word in a previous video, but to like metabolize it, take it in, like work with it, throw out the junk, right? And take what can make us stronger and better and healthier. And for me, journaling has been that thing that allows me to process life. And so I just want to kind of take some time and give you a few things. I was just having a call with a client, been working with him for a couple of years. And he started journaling, super proud of him. And he's only been journaling for about a week. And we're having this conversation. I was like, hey, have I ever walked you through some of this? And he's like, no, you never have. And I'm like, I've written a book on journaling. I haven't quite released it yet, but I've got a 60-day journaling challenge. We'll drop the link in the comments if somebody's interested in that. But journaling is a massive, massive tool. I've been doing it for, about 15 years. And I've learned a few things. I have to be an idiot not to learn a few things after journaling for 16 years. And I've got stacks and stacks and stacks of journaling. And the more my life has grown and progressed, the more I journal. And it is honestly, it is the most life-giving practice of my life. Habit, practice, call it whatever you want, discipline, spiritual discipline. It is all of those things for me. And so I just wanted to take some time and give you several points. I'm not sure how many I'll actually get through here. I want to give you several points about why I journal and what are the benefits of journaling for me. And maybe some of this will resonate with you, and maybe some of you are intimidated by journaling. I think I'll probably do another video and just talk about the how-to, because that often intimidates people because they're like, I want to journal, but I don't know how to start. And that's actually what I was helping with my client with this week. But let's start here with the why of journaling. And I know everybody doesn't share my belief system, but so I'll say it this way. God will speak to you. Number one reason I journal is because I know if I create that space, God's going to show up. if I consistently create a space and I'm praying prayers, and for me, I'm reading my Bible and I'm asking God questions, if I consistently create that space, God shows up. He speaks to me. Now, you might say God, the universe, spirit. I don't know what you would say, but for me, God shows up and he speaks. But here's the thing. A lot of people, everybody want God to speak to you. Like most of you would say, yeah, I want God to speak to me. But oftentimes we want him to speak, but we don't create a space, an environment. There's a beautiful little story in Exodus, and it talks about Moses would go out to this tent and meet with God. And he would sit with God every day and talk to God like one man, like one friend to another, face to face, like one friend to another. And the reason that God spoke is because that Moses showed up every day. If he didn't go to the tent and create the space, then he wouldn't have that opportunity to have that kind of conversation. So I'm telling you, if you feel like God's been quiet, maybe you feel a little abandoned. Maybe you're a little pissed off at God. I get it. There's been some hard stuff. Some of you are questioning faith altogether. Listen, create a space, and you could do that in a journal. You can do that a lot of different ways, but I haven't found a better way yet myself. So if you got one, I'm all ears. But it is a way to create that space so God can speak into you. So number one, God will speak to you. Number two, why should you journal? Because if you don't, you're going to lose some of the most important things, the most important moments and memories in your life. My daughter is 15 years old. And if you asked me, how did I feel the days after she was born? I mean, those are special moments and special days. But I don't have to guess how I feel. There's some things I remember, but I can go back and I can read to you verbatim. This is exactly how I felt because I captured it from a moment experienced to a moment written down in my journal. I can capture moments, significant moments when God spoke this to me. I can capture significant moments. I'll never forget when I was in Israel and had a life-defining moment. And I can convey it to you in detail. I've retold the story a bunch, but it's also because I had to read it again and again and again and again. And if I get foggy on the details, I can just go back and get the details. Your brain is finite. Some of y'all are getting a little bit older and you're realizing it's a lot more finite. It has a limited capacity. And so I don't care how great a memory you have. You got a memory like an iron vault. At some point you start forgetting things. And so what journaling has done for me is it expands my capacity to capture and remember the most important moments of my life. And I'm so grateful for that because I can go back and read through journals a decade ago and recall these memories and feel them all over again and oftentimes get lessons from those. That's another point I'm going to get to in a moment. So it helps you expand your capacity. Number three, and this is kind of a 3-point thing. It will help you process life in real time. Process life in real time, reveal your blind spots, and make you healthier. Mentally healthier, emotionally healthier, spiritually healthier. So let's talk about each one of those. Number one, it'll help you process life in real time. This is one I actually shared with my client this week. And listen, you got stuff going down, and oftentimes, I'm going to tell you this, we don't know what we're thinking until we write it down. Some of you would say, no, I don't write it down, I talk it out. That's cool, I get it. But what if you didn't need a therapist? What if you didn't need your best friend to come over and talk to you or whatever? What if you could just get there on your own and increase your clarity? And so processing life in real time. The client I was talking to, he and his wife are headed to a funeral this week. And there's a lot of dynamics going on in that, family dynamics and different things and mourning and grief and all these different things. And they were supposed to get away on their own before this happened. And so now this is their getaway. And I was like, go to your journal and start processing that event in real time. What do I think about this? How is it making me feel? Why do I feel that way? Am I okay with feeling that way? What am I okay, this happened, now what? Okay, what is my intention going into this event? How do I want to show up and help the family that's grieving? And so the ability to process life in real time is a huge, massive benefit. And this is a big component of mental health, right? Because one of the biggest components is the reason people explode in anger, the reason people become suicidal and depressed. Oftentimes, I'm not talking about chemical imbalances. I'm not disregarding any of those things, but it's because they don't have a vent. They don't have a way to process, to metabolize, like I was saying earlier. And so, as a wise mentor told me once, if there's not a vent at the top, there's going to be a blowout at the bottom. Meaning it's like a pressure cooker, right? Like, and if life is happening and life is happening and life is happening and it just builds up and it builds up and it builds up, and you don't have a way to like let some of that air out, let some of that heat out, you go, boom, and you're gonna be like, I don't even know why that happened. It's because you didn't have a vent. And for me, journaling is a vent, all right? And so it'll help you process your life in real time. It will also reveal your blind spots. Woo-hoo. Now, there's some of you, there's a couple of you watching this video right now, and you're like, I don't have any blind spots. Yes, you do. Your first blind spot is you think you're perfect. I mean, I don't know if anybody would really say I don't have any blind spots. Listen, the work never stops. And so it helps reveal your blind spots, the things that you can't see. Because what'll happen, like just in a practical sense, you start writing it down and you're writing, my wife was wrong because she did this and she did this, and like I'm pissed off, and like, why can't she ever just, and why can't she ever just, and like, I'm just theoretically making this up. I've never journaled this way. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I'm blaming her and I'm not taking any responsibility right now, but I didn't realize that was my mentality until I wrote it down, and it was revealed because I could see it right there in black and white of the writing. And so it'll reveal blind spots. There'll be times where I'll take a journal and I'll go back and I'll read, like if I feel like I got in a funk, I'll go back and read through the journal and I'm like, oh, there's why I got in a funk. Right there, because I see it here and I see it here and I see it here. And like it reveals those cycles and those blind spots, right? So another one. And then the last thing I said on that is it'll make you healthier. Listen, guys, you need a safe space for you. You deserve that. And hey, about therapy, let me just talk about therapy. You need therapy. Seriously, like I'm not joking whatsoever. You need therapy. Like you need counseling, you need therapy, you need a coach, like whatever form you get of it, you need help to process stuff. You need somebody to talk it out. But journaling, like you don't even have to pay an hourly rate. It's free. You can do it every day. And that's what I do every single morning. It is my special set aside time for me that builds me up, that does all these things. And I can be having a tough week, a busy week, a hard week. And when I journal, I get that safe space to see myself, to process life as it's going, and just to have a little bit of a vent so that I can be healthy, protect my mental health, protect my spiritual health, my relational health. It does all those things. And you can't do that without some kind of way to process life as you're going through it. So it'll do those things. Let's hear. Let me give you two more. This is a quick one, but it's funny and it's true. It will keep you from saying things you regret. Listen, if I've said this before, if you're married, don't even think about it. Just start journaling, because it'll keep you from sleeping on the couch. It'll keep you from getting in arguments with your wife. Or your husband. It'll keep you from getting yourself in trouble saying stupid stuff. I cannot tell you the number of times that I'm pissed off at my wife and I journal about it and I just vent, I process, and then I come around and I'm like, crap, she's right again. And I was wrong, and now I got to go ask for forgiveness and change my behavior, and it keeps me from saying that stuff out loud. It's my wife has many times, like if I'm grumpy or like not being nice, come to think of it, this has not happened recently. Maybe I'm doing better on this. But she'd be like, just go journal. Just take your time, because she knows it makes me healthier because I'm able to process stuff instead of like taking it out on her. Okay, let me just rapid fire. I'll give you a few other ones. Once you develop the habit of journaling, it becomes a source of wisdom and encouragement when you need it. You, by journaling, will become a source of wisdom and encouragement to yourself. Now, if you're praying and you're hearing from God, the universe, like you capture all that because you're expanding your capacity. Remember, you're going to read, like I've read stuff from 5 years ago and I picked it up and I was exactly what I needed to hear today. Exactly the piece of wisdom, exactly the encouragement. And so it'll become a source of wisdom and encouragement. It will help you define your identity and refine your calling. Um, you want to know who you are? You want to know what you're called to do? Why you're on this planet? Journal. I remember early on. I think this might have been the first time I wrote it down. Was in my very first journal, and I had this list of like, okay, who's God wiring me to be? And it was a list of like 7 or 8 things. And literally within a couple years, I remember looking at that list and then narrowing it down to 3 things. And I haven't shared this in a long time, but it's crazy how it still works. I'm creative, I'm a leader, and I'm a communicator. Creative, leader, communicator. And that's what guys, that was 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And to this day, that's what I live in. I'm creative, I'm a leader, I'm a communicator. The other word that was on that list, I think, was collaborator, because I love to collaborate with the right people. Last thing I'll say is, why should you journal? I mean, it's going to protect your mental health. But if you need some more evidence for it, look at all the amazing, the thought leaders, the successful people, the world changers. So many of them share from their own experience that journaling has been a pivotal habit in their life. So if you don't believe me, you don't want to take my word for it, go ahead and look up the biographies of people who journaled, of Benjamin Franklin, of Barack Obama, of so many great leaders and influencers in our country and in our history and other countries of the world. Journaling is a tool that brings health, that brings strength, that brings clarity, that creates greater impact through our lives. I don't want you to blow up. I don't want you to do that. And in a season in our world where we need to protect our own mental health and give ourselves more space, hey, you tried everything else. Why not try journaling? Just give it a shot and see what happens. And we'll drop the link for that 60-day journaling challenge that I created. But I really just wanted to give you some practical and maybe give you a nudge. Some of you already been thinking about it. Some of you have been like, I need to start journaling. You tried before and failed. Like, I'll give you some practical stuff maybe on the next video about the how-to so that I can equip you a little bit more. So I just want to serve you guys. I hope this encouraged you. Be strong, be encouraged. This is where you should get off this video right now and go out there and give your greatness to the world, because somebody needs what's on the inside of you. Don't hold it back. Go give it away. I love you guys. Have a great week.